VTubing is anyone can do it. You know, it's a relatively low barrier to entry, other than I guess the money that it takes to get your model and things.
I have no money.
A guy, it's gonna be 3 times as hard to be a VTuber. Count it as a hobby, and I would suggest making content on a YouTube burst. Find some kind of niche content that you want to make and stream it. It does not have to be with a model. Find some kind of like topic and talk about it. You do not even have to use your face. But if you're just planning on like getting a VTuber model and just jumping on Twitch and playing video games, it is going to be so hard for you because there's very little discoverability on Twitch. I wouldn't recommend just hopping on Twitch and just grinding. It's not the way. It's just not.
Okay, so this has caused weirdly a bit of an uproar. From what I've seen like multiple people tweet out about it and just kind of be a bit odd about it for some reason. I don't think that ChaCha expected to have as big of a wave as it was, at least from what I've seen. It seems to have been a bit of a wave. So one of the few benefits, I would say, of being trans female
Again? Freaking again?
as a content creator, specifically in this sort of content. Like I would say, here's the thing, ASMR, VTubing, and adult content creation, you do just have a massive advantage being a woman. It's not really up for debate, to be honest. It is just a fact. Because the audience, generally speaking, is male. And men, if you don't know, typically like women. And so, I don't know, people are kind of being a little bit weird about it. I've seen some people be like, as if it's easy to be a female VTuber. And it's like, literally no one said that it was easy. But the difficulties of being a female VTuber and a male VTuber are 2 different things. Male VTubers have the difficulty that no one cares about them. It's extremely rare that you ever actually see a male VTuber get success. Female VTubers, it's like every other day. Future Tempest here would also just like to add the fact that males, particularly cis males, are not really as supportive of one another the way that women and trans women are, or at least pretend to be, because let's face it, a lot of the support that women and trans women give each other is not really that genuine. There's also the issue that mask-presenting VTubers simply have a bad rap because unfortunately there are a lot of bad apples that cause a lot of issues for everyone, and very often they are forgiven for those things, which makes it even worse. So cis male VTubers don't really support each other, but female and femme-presenting VTubers also don't really want to support cis male VTubers out of fear for their own safety. On top of all of that, unfortunately, whenever a cis male VTuber comes out and expresses their frustration about having a harder time as a VTuber and growing as a VTuber, people just kind of dogpile on them and don't really hear out what they're complaining about, which is exactly what we're seeing right now. That's not to say that it's easy, but a female struggling when it comes to, you know, VTubing, ASMR, adult content creation is a surplus for men. Like, it's a different type of struggle. And it's not that, again, it's not to say that like women don't have their difficulties. You kind of have to pick and choose your poison. Would you rather be a male VTuber and no one cares about you? It's gonna be way harder because no one just really wants to look at you or listen to you. Or you would rather be a female VTuber and you're gonna have an easier time of people talking to you, but you also have a way higher chance of being stalked and assaulted and all these things. Like, there are 2 different, like, wildly different things. You have to choose one.
Well, this sucks.
Which one do you want, right? And the reason I bring it up is because I get really frustrated when people talk about this sort of thing, because, like, realistically speaking, unless you've, like, been both, you can't really know how difficult the other person has. And being trans, I am as close to both as you can get. Yeah, I've only ever been feminine as a VTuber, PNG tuber, but my first few years of content creation were masculine, right? So I can tell you, as someone that started as a masculine ASMR artist and, you know, other type of content creator, the amount of effort I have to put into that work is way, way higher than the work that I have to put in as a female or femme presenting content creator, right? Like, it's two wildly different stories to tell. Like, the following that I got once I started presenting as female was attained in a matter of months, what took me years as a masculine presenting person. It's extraordinarily easy in comparison to mask presenting. That doesn't mean that it's easy, but it's easier than being mask presenting. So it's weird to me when they're like female VTubers who are like, oh yeah, it's because female VTubing isn't hard or anything, and no one said that it's not hard. But your version of hard and my definition of hard are 2 very different things, at least in this context. And then other male VTubers who are like, the way that you'd be successful as a male VTuber is just to be a VTuber. And it's like, yes and no, because what a lot of people need to understand is people venting and being like, I feel like I would have a much easier time if I was just the opposite of what I am. That's a very real frustration. And like, I think most people have that frustration, at least in some way in their life. You know, like women being frustrated about not being safe when they go outside. They wish they could go out at night and be safe and all this. And that's a pretty real frustration. Men who are in the, VTubing space, the ASMR space, what have you, they're frustrated because they're putting in so much work and they just don't get nearly the same as women do. It's a very real frustration. At the same time, if you're someone that's like, if I was just born a woman, everything would be so much better, so much easier. Maybe that might be true, maybe it wouldn't be. But if you're believing that the reason you're not successful is because of this X factor that's out of your control, then you don't have any control whatsoever. Because there are things that are within your control. You're just kind of not really doing anything by complaining about it. I'm not saying that, I'm not saying that someone that's complaining about it isn't doing anything. But a lot of the times people that are complaining about it, unfortunately, aren't really doing a whole lot as far as trying to fix it. It's weird to complain about something without trying to like actually make changes or fix it. You know what I mean? Like VTubing and stuff is not, it's not like being in the NBA. This isn't like a physically demanding thing, like being in the NBA, the reason you get into the NBA isn't just because you're good, it's because you have the actual body for the NBA. There's a reason why the people in the NBA are tall and have long arms. It's because that's what gets you into the NBA, on top of being skillful. The same thing with the Mr. Olympia. The reason people all look the same or similar in the Mr. Olympia is because they have the body that gets them there. VTubing isn't that. VTubing is anyone can do it. It's a relatively low barrier to entry, other than I guess the money that it takes to get your model and things.
I have no money!
But VTubing isn't that. Content creation generally isn't that. There can be very real reasons as to why you're not as successful. I have my own. Everybody has their own. But just looking at it as if if this one thing was different, then everything would change. It's like, maybe that would be true, maybe it wouldn't be, but it doesn't help you to contemplate what could be and just to work with what you have and just do better with what you have. It's really frustrating whenever I see this, as a trans female, because it's just like, yeah, I know both lives to at least an extent. And anyone who is trying to say like men don't have it harder, at least in certain fields, again, ASMR, VTubing, the adult content creation space, you are either, and I'm trying to be polite when saying this, either you are extremely naive, you're lying to yourself, or you're just straight up delusional. Those are the only three reasons as to why you would think that women don't have it significantly easier than men in those particular sort of fields. This isn't a debate. There's nothing to be argued about. This is a fact. I know it because I've lived it. My life got so much easier when people thought that I had an ass and tits. That's how it works. The doors that open for you are so much more in this area when people think that you're a woman, okay? Anyone who tries to tell you otherwise is likely delusional. I had to work so much less hard for what I have here versus what I got as a masculine content creator. It's just true. It doesn't mean it's all fun. I also get harassed way more, I get people sending me photos of themselves that I didn't ask for. I get people who want to do collabs with me who don't want to actually do collabs with me. They just want to do things to me. I don't know who my friends are. I don't know who cares about me, okay? It's a lot scarier being femme presenting in this space. Again, not to say that men don't have their own difficulties when it comes to that, but it's not nearly to the same degree. It's just not. So yeah, it's a weird thing whenever this kind of topic comes up, because people that talk about it usually don't know what the other side is even like, and I do. So if you're gonna listen to anybody, you're gonna have to listen to me. Oh yeah, and as like a final thing, as of right now, basically nobody can unless you're already an established streamer, basically nobody can get away with just being a streamer anymore. It's all like, you have to be a streamer and you have to put like YouTube videos, highlights and stuff. Like you're not gonna get discovered anymore off of just streaming. If that ever was a thing, that was a thing in the past. It's not a thing now anymore, unfortunately, because platforms just do not care to actually show each other, show the people that actually are the reason why they even exist. So